Well, I think that the Western attitude towards China has become more negative. I would say probably I would date it from around 2010, when China became more confident. The West had just had its worst financial crisis since 1931. It was feeling weakened by that, and China becomes more expansive in its attitudes. And I think since then, you've seen in the West, I think, a shift in the center of gravity of opinion in a more negative direction towards China. As far as Hong Kong is concerned, it's been incredibly negative towards the Hong Kong government. The British media has made absolutely no distinction, virtually no distinction at all, between the big, peaceful demonstration against the extradition bill, which I think, that was a perfectly legitimate demonstration, which was, presented the feelings of many in Hong Kong, with these violent mob demonstrations and the destruction of property and the occupation and dislocation of the airport and so on. None of these Western governments would ever tolerate that kind of behaviour in their own societies. I mean, there was a demonstration, a women's movement on climate change, and they closed some roads in central London, and the media, particularly the right-wing media, went mad. And, this was a completely peaceful demonstration. But when it comes to Hong Kong, oh yeah, this is fine. So frankly, my attitude towards Britain and Hong Kong is, what a bunch of hypocrites they are, because they're always criticising criticising the lack of democracy, or the eating away of democracy, or whatever they want to call it, in Hong Kong. Do the British ran Hong Kong for 156 years, and they never introduced in that period the slightest vestige of democracy. And the Chinese, the Chinese were going to be responsible for Hong Kong. Then they raised the issue of democracy. I used to know Chris Patten quite well, and I had a meeting with him in December 1994 in Government House, and I said to him, how do you think the Chinese feel that you now raise democracy, and for 150 years you never mentioned it? Don't you think they think you're hypocrites? And he gave some incredible answer. He said, oh, well, you see, we were democratic. I said, what do you mean democratic? He said, well, the governor of Hong Kong was selected by the British Parliament, and the British Parliament is elected. That was the most extraordinary reply, and it told you a lot about the attitude in the West towards democracy.